Good evening, everyone. And we have a little bit of a lighter group tonight because it is Wednesday night. I know a lot of our folks do church stuff on Wednesdays, but I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend break. I mean, I hope you made the most of it. I hope you took a moment or two to just really think about what Memorial Day is all about. A lot of times we just think it's a 3-day weekend or a 4-day weekend, but it really is a time to reminisce and reflect and be thankful that we have the country that we do and we can do the things we do. And some people sacrificed a whole lot for that to be the case. So I happen to have a family that has a lot of military in it. So including my dad was a Marine. So I'll never forget it. But hopefully you had a great weekend. You got a little bit of rest. Um, I got a few things that I want to bring up and mention as we're closing out the month. And then April, has the training for tonight. So and it's funny. We were just eating dinner a few minutes ago and just talking about, kind of what's going on out there. April, just stick your you don't have to explain it yet, but hold up your book with your leads.
Oh, I'll go through all that. I'll go
Okay.
through it. Yeah.
Wait, anyone remember the old phone books that were like 4 or 5 inches thick? I know I'm dating myself, okay, but they're for you young people out there, there used to actually be phone books where you had to look things up. Right? Like a map too. There used to be maps where you had to look things up. But April's got books this thick, like with people that she follows up with. She's absolutely amazing. But let me share the screen and go through a couple things. Please take some notes on this. Okay, so this is just a closing out the month checklist, okay? But what's really funny? We have multiple businesses, April and I, and BC2s, BC3s, that type of thing. What was really cool the other day? The company notified me that one of the businesses that we have was 2 points short of qualifying, not 22. It had 298 points when it should have been needed to be 300. Now, the month wasn't over, but I thought that was pretty cool that the company scans and looks to see and make sure that people don't miss out on money. And it made me think, you know what, I'm going to make sure I mention a couple of these things tonight because it got mentioned to me and I really appreciated it. I did know it, but I like the fact that someone else noticed it, okay, and gave a heads up. So make sure you're qualified, and qualified means qualified for all commissions and bonuses. Okay, that's what that means. And you have to have at least 300 points. Now, of the 300 points, and again, you probably know this, but it's just a reminder to double check, at least 150 of them need to be customer points. Your personally enrolled customer, but the entire 300 can be customers, okay, or 200 or 250 or 280, but at least 150 needs to be. In other words, the 300 can't be all product you purchased, okay? At least 150 needs to be customer. But if you're a customer gatherer, and we're going to talk about that next and with number two, it can all be customers. Now, I don't think that applies to anybody here because that would mean you're not using the product and you didn't use that order any product for yourself. So I don't, but again, I want to be clear with it. Now, number two, check your gemstone volume. A lot of people unknowingly and unintentionally leave a lot of money on the table. Okay. Gemstone, that means, are you onyx? Or are you emerald? Are you sapphire? Are you diamond? And it changes at 500, 1,000, 2,000, and 4,000. Now, and I know we've gone over this, but it's another 5% bonus every time you go to the next one, and it's retroactive. See, it's a monthly bonus, and a lot of people don't realize this, okay? So at 500 in customer points, you're getting 5% on the 500, okay? On 1,000 customer points, when you turn Emerald, okay, you're getting another 5%. So you're getting 10% on the entire 1,000. You know, that includes the first 500. At 2,000, when you become Sapphire, you're getting another 5%. So it's 15% on the entire 2,000. Okay. And at 4,000, you're getting another 5%. So it's 20%, okay, on the entire 4,000. So it accumulates. You know, the whole month counts. And a lot of times, and there's some people on the team right now that I'm paying close attention to. Keep in mind, just think about this for a second. 3,900 points is getting 15%, but 4,000 is getting 20. That's an extra 5% on 4,000. That's an extra $200. So we're not talking pennies. So check and see where you are, and it'll give you some incentive to look at your customers that may have fallen off subscription, may have skipped a month. You know, the timing of this is good. It's only the 28th, and we still got 3 more days. You know, we got to midnight Mountain Time on Saturday night. So check that out and see how close, or challenge yourself to get to the next one. Okay. Also, check your rank in the compensation plan and see where you are with that. You know, it changes from 500 to 1,000. It changes at 2,000. It changes at 3,500. It changes at 6,000, 10,000, 20,000. So look and see where you are and challenge yourself along with your team. And the easiest way to move up in rank in the compensation plan is to have teammates looking to move up their businesses. Okay. Now, if you haven't heard this, and it'd be hard not to because the company talks about it now a lot, the entire success system that we're working on is getting our consultants, our new consultants, to SC1 as soon as possible. That's 2,000 points. And the company threw a special gift in if you develop two SC1s between April, May, and June. So they had to be sponsored in either April, May, or June. If you develop two, you get a custom pair of LifeVantage sneakers that, I'll be honest with you, look pretty cool. I think they had Nike design them, and they're, you know, it's just it's what we're supposed to be doing. We get paid on everything that we do. We make a lot of money when we develop SC1s. And, you know, they're doubling. What do they call it? The share bonus is doubled until the end of June. So
Yep.
instead of 150, it's 300. Is that
Mm-hmm. Yes.
so? We're getting paid all of that. They're throwing in the custom sneakers. And believe me, come October, when everybody's planning on, you know, being in Dallas for our next big convention, you're going to notice the people with the sneakers, and you're going to want to be one of them wearing them. You know, it's just so. And the other thing I just want to mention before I give it to April is, you know, we were talking a lot about the value of sharing what we have with one or two people a day, and how after 30, 60, 90 days, that turns into hundreds of people. And honestly, you have no idea what would be going on if you made yourself reach out to one or two. And I don't mean, you know, cold market. You know, social media is okay and you can do it there. I mean semi-warm market, people whose names and numbers are in your phone. And, you know, if you have to break the ice with them, you need to break the ice with them and just see how they're doing. But, you know, everybody's in a different category. But if you put them in your phone, you know them to some degree. And do the math. What if it was 1.5 a day? It's 45 after month one, 90 after month two, 135 after month three. You have any idea what would be going on in your business? It's think about that. And I'm going to say that and set up April. So April, I'm going to stop sharing this, and it's all yours.
Hey, how's everybody doing? So he kind of told you, and he was listening to a conversation I was having right before dinner. The beauty of our house, I guess. So anyway, one of the things in this business, and you've heard, Tara Wilson says it's so great. She says working works. And do you ever wonder what she means like that? Like, what does working work? The secret, and I really do mean this, the whole secret behind this business is consistency. It's nothing that anybody can't do, but the way that our brains are wired, we can't do it. One of the worst things somebody can do is set up goal setting for you, because and it's scientifically proven. There we have this prefrontal cortex that doesn't allow us to deal with delayed gratification. And so when you think about it, did anybody ever hear the program 75 hard? I know that's going around. Everybody's pretty familiar with that. So you exercise twice a day. You have to read 10 pages a day. You follow a diet. But you think about it, 10 pages a day. The average book is probably 400 pages. How long would it take you to get through to that book? But we don't really think about that. If we're doing the 75 hard, yeah, Jay is showing. Jay and I are big readers, so we know. But you don't look at it as 10 pages a day, but that's what that they're doing. What they're doing is getting you to create a habit of 21 days. And so one of the things that we look at, and many of you that were maybe around years ago, we had the people, Jim Packard from the Consistency Chain on. And one of the partners was very unassuming, very quiet, but consistent. And he built his multi-level marketing company to millions. His partner, who was super outgoing, very personable, super funny. He had been a comedian on stage with, I forget the other, but it's famous, almost famous. I mean, just the personality, you'd all say, I want him in my business. That's who I want in my business. You've heard Bobby and I say over the years, we just can't, figure out who will and who won't. That's something we talk about, and I've gotten to the point where I stopped trying to figure out, for a long time, if you were around me, I always wanted the person who made the decisions at lunch, who would decide where we were going to eat, or who was the most outspoken. But I realized that's not it either. That's not the secret. The secret is the consistency. And so, we had this conversation earlier, and then, like I said, Bobby heard me, and we continued it on to dinner. And I came back up to my office and I looked around. My whole office is consistency. So this is the notebook he's talking about. This is my notebook. And so, yeah, very old fashioned. It's broken up. It's a mess and stuff. But there's never a day, my day, many of you know, I started with tennis. And then in the afternoon, I come in here and I return whatever calls, place whatever orders for people. But then I never not let myself go through, and these are just the old leads. This is my red hot book. So these take precedence. These are new consultants that have joined us as well. I'm starting to organize my customers because that's really gotten out of hand. But everything is just speaking to me every day to go about talking to people, to make sure that I do as much follow-up. So that white book with I forgot what his name is, the doctor that's going to be on tonight with Shauna, they're going over the GLP-1, and he's lost 65 pounds that I know of last time. So I went through that white book. And anytime I had a note with somebody that mentioned GLP-1, I picked up the phone. And again, we talked about this. And as the conversation came about, I said, oh, by the way, we've got a real exciting Zoom tonight. Hopefully that's something you can be on. There's all these little calls, and you've heard, Bobby, over the years, people that join my business, it's not like we just had a conversation at the bagel store and they joined tomorrow. I am networking. They are in my network, and I continue to talk to them over time. And so, Some of them, he talked about the influencer that joined, I think that was 2 weeks ago or whatever. But even this, I do a sheet every month. There's a new sheet. And you've heard me say, we recruit on an average 9 to 10 a month. It has been that consistent. But you know what? I never know who those 9 or 10 are. At the beginning of the month, when that volume goes to zero, I'm kind of like, now I know we have auto ships, but still, I'm like, where are those people going to come from? You have no idea. We are very much in the networking business. So, like I started to say, we can't put goals down because the goals don't work. What we do know works is just doing the do and the consistency every day. And you've heard what is it, the 10,000 hours, I forget what his name is, but in order to do something you need to do it again and again. So if you're not consistently talking to people, and this can be very easy, it doesn't matter how busy you are, because those sheets, when I was still in construction with 2 young babies, and I actually ran a water company, I was building spec homes, and I had my full-time job, 2 babies, and we were building this business. So all I would do is take my sheets every morning that I was going to talk to during the day. It's not very much different than I still do this day, but it's very consistently making sure that I pick up my phone every day. Think about, and we've done this before, how many contacts are in your phone? Have you ever looked how many contacts? I mean, we don't go through them all. I looked before getting on here. I had 3,800 contacts in my phone. And I bet you I'd go through a lot of them. And I always find people that I've forgotten, people that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I haven't talked to them in so long. But I'll always call them up. I write names down. That's another thing. As soon as I think, there's times I get up during the middle of the night to write a name down because I didn't call them or I thought of them or whatever. And then I'll reach out and just have a conversation to catch up, to see what's going on. If there's anybody you want in this business, at some point they're going to turn around and say, how's your business doing? Are you still selling those pills? I got asked today, you still selling those pills type of thing? It happens all the time. And it's a great introduction to letting them know how great things are, because that's the value of us doing the social media. Their eyes are on us. They're watching us. They're watching our products. They're watching our lifestyle. They're watching all about us. Sometimes people just are afraid to raise their hand. They don't want to do it, but we need to consistently. And, Bobby was talking about maybe doing one, do 2 a day, do whatever your number is, whatever you do consistently, and it will multiply, but you got to do it. And I would suggest you either put it on paper somehow, something that you can cross off. The other thing, and this is what was used years ago, those who've heard, just an old-fashioned calendar, again, where you could cross things off. There's something about the power of crossing out, like my book, you can see is highlighted with the things that I've already crossed out for the day. There's something about that gratification of crossing out for it today, what you do, and just not leave it in the air or whatever. So if you can set a goal every day, and most of us can handle that, as far as the delayed gratification, we can't put off this delayed gratification. Most of us don't have it. They did this marshmallow test years ago. I think it was like 1960s. Put these little 5-year-olds in a room. Most 5-year-olds could not put off eating that marshmallow, even when they were promised another marshmallow immediately, if they didn't eat the first marshmallow. But they ate the first marshmallow, something like 80-90% of the people. So why are we any different? Why do we try to go and be different and set goals for a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or whatever, instead of just doing what we need to do on a daily basis? And we'll find that it happens. People join our business because we've got enough touches out there. You'll be surprised, by doing those touches, you'll actually have people that will reach out to you and say, I'm ready to join. That would be pretty cool, huh? But that's because you've kept your name in front of them. Just like that girl today walking up, she knew exactly what I did for a living, and so she's gotten to a point where she works in a chiro's office part-time. She doesn't even want to do that anymore. She's like, well, it looks like you're having a lot more fun and stuff. She really has no idea what I do. But, she knew enough from seeing on social what's going on and playing tennis that, this is, what I'm in and stuff. So the way that we look at our business, it wouldn't be so hard if we could just teach people every day. If somehow we could make people accountable to every day just to reach out to two people. And when you do your reach out, I'm not saying sell them. You don't even have to bring up your products. You don't have to bring up your business. But like I said, if you have enough of a conversation with somebody, do you really want to be in business with somebody that doesn't turn around and say, how are your kids? Or how's your business? How's your life? Or what are you excited about? Like a lot of the ladies that I hang out with tennis, they're doing a lot of traveling. Well, it would be pretty bad if I said, how's your traveling going? How was your last trip? And at some point they didn't turn around and say, how was your trip? It's human nature to be able to do that. And that back and forth will get you to the conversation you want. So it's just a learned skill. I mean, it's again, getting back to those 10,000 hours. You really need to go through your phone and pick up people and just have conversations. Get more comfortable with the conversation. Get more, I laugh and I was telling somebody earlier, when we got married and I just pulled out our wedding album, thank goodness, because it was really starting to fall apart. So old, but anyway, literally. So anyway, and I noticed when we walked into the reception, and I remember this, I was scared to death to walk into the reception. We probably had maybe 120 people there or something, all friends and family. But I was such an introvert. It was painful for me to even have to walk into that room, even though they were all my friends and family. I just never wanted to be the center of attention. And I find now, because I have such a drive to build the business, we go to a networking meeting and Bobby's standing behind me. This is a total change. But it's because of all those little things, that 1% you do every day, you'll be a different person. You really will be a different person. And what I've loved about this business is it's not just the rewards of this business, but it's been the rewards of a whole life. There's so many things, and you guys know a lot of them and stuff, things that have gone on. And so I just really want to challenge you. Don't let that biggest lie get you. Don't let them believe that you can plan things out, that tomorrow is another day. It's a kiss of death. Tomorrow is not another day. Today is the day it needs to get done. So cross it off, figure it out who you're going to talk to. And I would suggest, maybe Sunday night or Friday night or whatever it is, Monday morning, pick out your people. Let's go Monday through Friday, 2 people a day, 10 people a week, and figure out how you're going to track your people. Are you going to be old fashioned like me with sheets? Bobby uses Excel. I like sheets. I like to write when I talk to people and stuff. And it's very visual for me. That's still been my thing. A few times I've tried to put stuff on, computers and Trello boards and stuff, and it just doesn't feel as good as when I'm writing it out for me. So, those names are all in alphabetical order. So even if you call me, I can quickly flip to your name and I have a pretty good idea who I'm talking to. So it's pretty easy that way. But, that's really what I just got to say. The secret is in the consistency. It's boring. It's not glamorous. But I will promise you, if you do it enough, at the end of every month, all of a sudden you'll have these recruits that you never thought you were going to have, because you networked the whole time. So, it's kind of like if you look in your neighborhood or, some of these businesses, people that are really well networked, when there's a cause, when they want to run something through church or whatever, if people are well networked, or they want to get something done that you don't think can get done, if they're well networked, they know who to pick up the phone and who to call. And that's where we really kind of have to get with this business, is just being real comfortable with reaching out to people and stuff. So anything you want to add to that, Bobby? Or
Just a couple things, and then we can open it up. You've heard this before, but you can't treat this business like a light switch where you just turn it on and off. It needs to become part of who you are. And maybe with the 2 a day, maybe you have to set an alarm in your phone to do it, so it goes off until you get in the habit of doing it. Just set an alarm in your phone that you have to reach out to. It's always good, and April said this, the day before, that you have the 2 already picked out, and then put an alarm in your phone that it's time to dial. It's time to call, and just do that. But just to put it in perspective, and there's no magic in this, and you could see, we have gotten hundreds and hundreds of leads from advertising that we've done, but I want to be straight with you, okay? These are cold leads. And we were just talking over dinner about this, and you know, April's good with not letting things bother her, but when she saw how thick the book was of how many people that never called her back, the visual bothered her. Like mentally not seeing the stack like this, not seeing it didn't bother her because she didn't see it. But when she went through the book, so I want you to understand, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5 don't reply. So emotionally detach. You people use different terms, marry the process, divorce the result. I hate all those terms, to be honest with you, but it's got to become a lifestyle thing that you don't go out without it on your brain. You don't do anything without it on your brain. I haven't been able to play pickleball because I've had a lot of trouble with my knees for about, I don't know, it's probably a month, 5 weeks now, and I had some cortisone shots. It's feeling better. So last night I'm in a men's league, and in 1 week my knees felt good enough to play, and I hadn't played in a while. So April has not met the guys I'm playing with yet, and these are new beautiful courts. There's like 25 courts right next to a lake. It's beautiful. So she said, and we've been playing, about 2 years now. So we've met a lot of people. And she said, hey, I'm going to go to pickleball with you tonight. I'm going to bring my book and my phone, and I'm going to go. And two things. One, she had a chance to meet my new partners, okay, in on the team. She'd never met them before. Two, she knew probably 20 other people that were there watching their husbands or playing or whatever, so that was going on. But she also got a chance to make some calls and take some calls, and actually signed up a new consultant on Long Island that, was a lead that only came in a couple days ago, I guess, right? And you got to start it right on the phone. So that list that she said, the 9, 10, 12 people that we sign up every month, we can write down who we think they're going to be, and 90% of them are wrong. And the ones that we were sure were going to get started do not. They do not get started. But 9 or 10 or 11 other people do. And that's why the process is what you fall in love with and what you do. 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5 do not respond. They just don't. To me, it's rude or it's impolite, or how do you not at least respond to a text? But you know what? That's how the world was when I was growing up and younger, 20, 30 years ago. In today's world, people just don't view it as rude. They just don't care. They don't care, and they just don't respond. So if they don't respond, we shouldn't care that they didn't respond, because it didn't bother them to respond. So it's the process, it's the two a day. And you run that out over months, and I'm telling you, the numbers are just, they get crazy. And and always have fun with it. I had a chance, we'll open this up in a second. I had a chance to reflect a little bit of what the business has meant to me in April in so many different ways. But we were invited to a very special dinner on Friday night, Memorial Day weekend, but it was Friday night. And we were invited, it was for church, and it was for the people that were involved in the early days of when the church was just getting going. And we met, and we're very close friends with our pastor. But the church had started, and we live in Lake Mary. It had started in Lake Mary High School, and they had just moved into the building where we had our offices. And the pastor, God works in funny ways, had rented our previous office in that building. And we had moved downstairs into a corner office because it was easier to get guests to come in So we had moved and we ended up meeting him. He invited us to church. We went, we've been there ever since. But the people and the contacts and the involvement that we were able to get involved with the church, the business played a big role in that because of the time freedom that we had. And the networking was great. And, we have a lot of you know Jackie Gagliano, and she came through church, and Tony and Gina. There's a lot of people that got in, but we ended up meeting people like the pastors that mentored our pastor. One of them is the author of God Is Not Dead. You've probably seen those movies or read the book. There was a series of three of them. And he was like the founder of it. And I'm looking around the people that we're networked around and what's going on. And I'm saying the freedom of having a business that was portable allowed us to do a lot of different things the way we do things in life. And the reason April's sharing that with you tonight, it's not a magic bullet, it's not a magic potion, and there's not a secret. It is the consistency. It's just the consistency. And I don't think two a day is a lot, but the 21 days of getting into the habit of doing it, that is where if you're going to set a goal, the habit happens at 3 weeks, folks. That's kind of where it happens. That's been scientifically proven. Set the goal to not break that chain. April mentioned the consistency chain. Don't let that chain break without it becoming a habit, and the habit that you just don't forget. Okay. And then when you go anywhere you go in life, anywhere you travel, anywhere you visit, you'll be amazed at how easy it is to get into conversations. You'll be amazed with it. So, can I open it up, April?
Sure.
All right. Let me. Okay. Anyone have any questions? April, I think somebody posted it, but somebody asked about the training with Dr. Jeff and what is it, Shauna tonight?
Yeah.
Is it in the chat if anybody
Yeah.
wanted?
Somebody already put it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, Michael, thanks for posting that. So if you did want that, that starts in what, a half hour at 9 Eastern?
Yeah. Half an hour. Yep.
Okay. So that April's gotten very familiar with the Rachel thing, and I know some people are doing that, but you're also doing a 5 night thing with your coach. When is that, April, in case anyone wants to join you on that?
June 9th. June 9th.
And it's
If
what
you sign up, she's already dripping stuff on you. So there's all kind of Zooms and stuff. It's free.
it's free, and it's April's coach from when she first got started, Marina Simone. She was $1 million earner with Modere. She was smart enough and a few of her friends to leave before Modere went under. But she's a little crazy, but she's smart as heck and she knows how to teach. And so is it 5 nights, April, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, starting June 9th, five in a
Mhm.
row. So you can reach out to April for that. And again, it's free. So, but it's you never know what's going to click. So it doesn't hurt to see what people are doing. But the one thing that must click is at least two a day. That's, for 21 days. I'm telling you, when you see what happens, I could tell you just from the consistency of the past year of doing leads like we have, um, we can now do something with those leads where project broadcast and get 10 or 15 people to say, hey, call me, I want to know more. See, you're also databasing as you're doing it too. And you saw how April databases, but she also uses project broadcast to get messages out to the large numbers when we need to do that. So has anyone got any comments or questions or thoughts? Or thank you for tuning in on a Wednesday. When Sunday night is the middle of a holiday weekend, we will always move it. Um, Anyone got anything they want to share or questions?
You all
If
got
you,
your two for
I was
tomorrow?
going to say, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
unmute.
Thanks for a good training.
You're welcome. All right.
Everybody good?
It was great. Thank you.
Turn your cameras on, everybody, even if it's for a second. Just turn them on for a second. I want to
I
ask you
like
to
to do
do something.
that.
Please turn them on. I'm asking nicely, please.
They
Just
come in
for a
in
moment.
pajamas or nude.
Just no, nobody's nude, April.
You
Look
don't
at
know
where her
that.
mind
Look
goes.
at me
Look at yeah,
showering.
you guys think I'm bad. Look at it. Look at where her mind goes. Okay, let me ask some. Just give me a thumbs up. Will you do the 2 a day for at least a month? Can you
Yeah.
give me a thumbs up on that? And I mean, you can do more than that, but I'm talking 2 a day that came out of your phone, not somebody that you messaged on Facebook or something. But you can do that too, obviously. And a lot of trainings, are meant for social media. But I'm talking about people who you put their name and number in the phone. Will you reach out to them and either start a conversation just to catch up, or if you know them well enough, say, hey, I've been thinking about you for a long time. I've met some people that remind me of you. Would you be open to taking a look at something or hearing about something that I'm excited? You can put your own words to it, but I'll tell you one thing, and Kenneth talked about this a couple weeks ago. Every time you do it, the next time you do it, you're better than the time before. And the next time you do it, you're better than the time before. And two may not be enough for you. It may take three or four because each one of them you get better. Okay. You get better and better and better. And eventually you make a game of it. It kind of becomes, well, like a sport, like a game. And it's kind of like, well, someone's going down. I'm not sure who it is, but somebody's going down. And you make a sport of it or a game out of it, and then it becomes fun. And you just divorce, the results, you marry the process, and it becomes a habit. And then you just go about doing it every day. And all of a sudden, you're recruiting two or three people a month, and four or five people a month, and six or seven. And what happens is you stay consistent with that. But some of those people that you recruit, they end up becoming teammates, and you start working them through the same process of 2 a day. Is everyone going to do that? No, but we don't need everybody to do it. We're just looking for a few. That's all it comes down to. So anyway, thank you for tuning in on a Wednesday, and I will get this posted for those that had church stuff or other plans or work, whatever, just couldn't do it. But th thank you. Have a good
I just
evening.
want I just wanted to mention that book, Atomic Habits. It tells you how to form the habit. In fact, that's what made me wanting to do exercise every day, which I really religiously do. That book made me become very consistent.
That's a good one.
Mm.
Everyone good? Have a good evening, everyone, and we will be back to Sunday night on Sunday night. So pay period ends midnight on Saturday. Have a great night. Bye-bye.